Hello everyone, welcome to this week's mobility session. Hope you're all doing well, staying healthy, and staying mobile. So we're going to go over shoulder mobility this week. Lots of interesting exercises that we haven't done before, so we're going to get into it by doing assessments, as always, right? We want to see where we stand before we get into these mobility exercises, and then we'll retest after to see our improvement, right? So we're going to start off with some assessments. The first one would be just basic shoulder flexion. So stand upright, thumbs pointing forward. You're going to go all the way up, overhead, and see how far you can go. Right? Now we're not going to cheat by going overhead, and if we can't go past this point, we're going to use our back to extend. No, we want to use our shoulder joint to extend and get ourselves into that shoulder flexion position. So here, as far as you can go, if you feel some limitations, I would recommend doing this in front of a mirror so you can see how far you can go. Or if you can see you're kind of uneven on one shoulder, you're kind of dipping down or raising up on one shoulder, trying to favor one shoulder. So do these in front of the mirror and see how far you can go. The next one is internal external rotation. We're going to do it two different ways. So the first one, we'll just test our internal rotation, pointing down here, and that's how far I can go with this right shoulder. You can test with the left as well, and pretty equal. So another one is external rotation. We're going to take it back, bring our hand all the way back, the opposite where we went before this one. So all the way back for external rotation. How far can we go there, right? We can test both here. All right. Kind of get a feel of where you stand now, just because we're going to retest after to see if you've improved or not. So you can also test the rotations by doing what's called a scratch test. So you can go ahead and grab one hand, bring it up behind your back, one overhead, and bring it back, and try and touch your hands here. Mine barely touch. You might be more mobile than me. I'm not great with my shoulder flexibility and mobility, so my fingers barely touch, index and second finger barely touch. So again, feel where you are. If you can't touch, look at it in the mirror. How far are you? Are you an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches apart between your fingers? And then when we retest, and if you're getting closer with that, great improvement. And if you couldn't touch and now you can touch after the mobility session, great improvement, right? So those are just the assessments we're going to get started with. Let's start off with some foam rolling, okay? We're going to start off with basic foam rolling. We're not going to use an actual foam roller today, so I'm going to use a lacrosse ball. Let me point this camera to the doorway here, and I'll show you what we're doing. So take a lacrosse ball, put it right in front of your shoulder there, and roll side to side, back and forth, up and down, always right in that front of the shoulder. Okay, a lot of muscles come down that way and attach there, so you want to get those muscles foam rolled. In this case, lacrosse ball. I'm using a tennis ball. Pretty tender in that area for me for a lacrosse ball. Lacrosse ball is a little harder than a tennis ball, so rolling out that area, going back and forth, it's pretty tender for me, so it might be for most of you. That's a tender area. We don't really get to that area by, the stretches or foam rolling that we do regularly. We usually tend to foam roll bigger muscle groups like the lower body or the back, so we don't get to these small areas like we can with a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball. So again, if you have a baseball, you can use that. If you have a softball, whatever you have, you can get in that area and kind of massage it out. So where I am, I'm basically right here, right in front of the shoulder. So I'm going back and forth, side to side, up and down. You can go in circles, kind of massage that area out. Again, it's pretty tender, so go easy first, and then work that area. You can even come down right into the chest here, right into the chest, right under the clavicle, your collarbone. Get that area as well. That's really effective to get those muscles foam rolled. So after I'm done spending about 3 to 5 minutes in that area, I'm going to move to the back side. So now we're getting the back side. So same thing, against the wall, you're going side to side, you can go up and down. You can stay pretty close to the shoulder with this first part, and after we're done with this, we're going to get into the shoulder blades, so your scapula in the back. Lots of muscles start there, so we want to get those as well. So again, right in the back side of the shoulder here. You can even get on the outside, get some of your deltoids there. So you can get that as well. those are tender, foam roll them up and down, and then I'll show you where we want to get for the scapula. So shoulder blade right there. You want to get that. I'm going to place the ball right there and go back and forth on that area. Try to stay away from the bony areas. That's your scapula, so stay towards the muscles and the muscle belly where the soft area is, and stay away from the bone because that might be pretty tender there or it might bruise you later on. You don't want to deal with that. So stick to the muscles. Again, same as always. You can go in circles, you can go back and forth. We're kind of scanning that area. If you find somewhere that it's pretty tender, more than the other areas, stick there and kind of breathe in, right? You're breathing in and let those muscles breathe. Those muscles that are tender, that are spasm, need oxygen to breathe, right? So breathe in and let that ball sink in. Let your weight kind of drop on that area like it is in this area. For me, it's pretty tender. So I'm going to stick to that for a second and just breathe through it. All right, once we do that, get the other shoulder, right? The same thing on the other shoulder. You want to start in the front, get the outside, get the back, and get the shoulder blade itself, right? So that is all I wanted to show you on the foam roll or lacrosse ball session of it. So we'll put that aside for now. Again, I only did one shoulder, but you can go ahead and do both. And then we'll start with the mobilization. So I'm going to turn my camera back around this way. And we're going to start off with some on the ground. Okay? This one is going to be for shoulder flexion. So find a chair, find a sofa, your bed, whatever is about 2 feet tall. Get against it here, knees on the ground, hands on top of the bed or sofa, whatever you have, and sink down. You don't want to arch your back. You want to kind of let your body just sink down. Okay, again, we're breathing through all these, right? And you can bring your head down as well. You can feel a stretch all the way down here, right? Kind of in the armpit area. And this is great for the shoulder. So breathe through it. We're going to stay here about 30 seconds. I can feel it a little more on my right shoulder than my left. That's okay. And come back up. And we can do that one twice for about 30 seconds each. So catch your breath. Go back into that same pose. And drop down. Feels great. All right, once we're done with that one, we're going to grab our foam roller for this next one. We're not going to actually roll on it, but this is a good one for the shoulder as well. Let me point this camera down a little bit so you can see. There we go. So, grab your foam roller, sit on top of it, and lay back. Once you're laid back here, you can put your head on it, get your hands, and let your arms and forearms sink into the ground. Okay, I'm letting my arms drop to the ground. And that stretches the front portion of the shoulder. Right in the front, you're letting gravity do its work. Letting your arms sink down. Again, I'm breathing. And you can add some extra to it by taking it up overhead. Bringing down, up overhead, bringing down. Again, we want to stick here to about 30 seconds to 45 seconds on this one. This one takes a little bit of balance too, right? You can kind of rock back and forth and fall off the foam roller. So, stick to it. Feels really good. You can even use something, if you have like a weighted water bottle or actual dumbbell, you can kind of, small dumbbell, you can place it in your hand and let it take you down a little further, right? You can do that as well. To take you down, to weigh you down a little more, because right now it's just gravity, right? So if you have some sort of weight, those hydro flasks work great. You can fill them up with water. They're pretty heavy. You can hold one and let it take you down with it. All right, that one's really good. Moving on here. Next one, we're going to do some shoulder blade movement. So lay on the ground flat. You're going to go ahead and punch up. Okay, like we're punching the ceiling. And relax. Punch up. And relax. This is called protraction, retraction of the shoulder blade. Punch up and let it drop. As far as you can, right? We're punching the ceiling. Don't limit yourself. Go as far as it lets you. Now we're not lifting off the table, right? Or the ground. So punch up without moving your torso or your upper chest. Stick your upper back to the ground. Now we're just moving our shoulder, bringing it up and down. We're not lifting up our neck. We're not lifting up our mid-back. We're just punching up and letting it drop. Do about 12 of those on each side. Good. And it can be a quick movement, right? Quick, forceful movement. Up, let it drop. Up, let it drop. I tend to lose count sometimes, so I'm going to go about 4 more. Again, you want to watch hiking up your shoulder, right? You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here when you're doing it, and now we have no neck. Relax your neck and get with the movement here. Relax your neck, punch up. You don't want to be hiked up, all tensed up. Then you're going to get up with some tense shoulder muscles and neck muscles. Next one, we're going to stand up for it, so I'm going to move my camera again. It's a doorway stretch. You can do it at any doorway. And it gets the front part of your shoulder, and we can even incorporate our bicep a little bit. So here, elbow, forearm on the doorway, and you're walking forward. We're keeping our arm behind, you're walking forward, you're getting that front portion of the shoulder. You should feel a stretch with that. Right in the front of the shoulder. Stay there about 30 seconds. And once you're done with that, you can even extend your elbow. So now we're here and we're walking forward. Now we can get the bicep involved, right? Right in the front. So now we have this muscle stretching here, right in the front of the arm. Feels really good. The one with the bent elbow, you should feel it right in the front here. The one with the bicep, you should feel it right in the bicep here, right in the front of the arm. Next one we're going to go over, again, we're standing. We're going to go into internal, external rotation, okay? So let me turn this camera back around. So you could grab, like I said, a water bottle, a heavy ball, or whatever you have, and rotate. So we're getting our arms straight up overhead, and we're rotating out and coming back in. So look at my thumb. My thumb is pointing forward now. Then my thumb is pointing back. This rotates my whole arm from the shoulder, right? I'm not just doing this with my wrist, right? So I want to get the whole shoulder rotated. Rotate forward and rotate back. Forward, back. Again, you want to relax your shoulder, right? I'm not here because that then causes tenseness in the muscles in the neck, cause them to spasm. You don't want that. You want to get this here. Relax your shoulder, forward, and back. Okay, next shoulder, same thing. Thumb pointed forward, thumb pointed back. Thumb pointed forward, thumb pointed back. It's a whole shoulder movement, not just the wrist or the elbow. Forearm, it's just the whole shoulder, starting the movement from here. Rotate back, rotate front. It's a really good rotation mobility. Increases your rotation. Now we can incorporate that with another movement, right? So again, you can grab something heavy, water bottle, whatever you have, and start with it behind your head. And then we're going to come out, point it back, and behind our back. Okay? Now you see me holding the ball here. Up, rotate, behind head, down, rotate, behind back. Okay? The rotation happens in the mid stance here. When I'm rotating, that's when the rotation happens, right? You see my thumb, you see my palm pointed to my head. When I'm coming out here, I'm rotating thumb down, coming behind my back. This is another good rotation, and it incorporates some actual movement with it. Incorporates different muscles to function and fire. It's really good. So you can do 12 on each side. I like to go slow with this one so you can focus. You don't want to rush through it, right? You want to really focus on those movements. Here, thumb down, behind back. Now let's do it with the other one. Hand behind head, palm facing towards head. Come out, thumb down, behind back. Same thing. All the way above head, down. A little bit of limitation for me in this one with the rotation. You can probably notice it in the video. There you go. That's why we got to work on these daily. These are really good exercises. Behind back. Down. A couple more here. Good. It's a really good one. It's one of my favorite ones to work on the rotation. So next one, we're going to work on with a band or a belt or a bar, whatever you have. I actually didn't have a bar with me at home, so I'm going to use a band or a belt that you might have. So get the belt, stand upright, hold it overhead. We're going to work on lateral bend here. It's the right to the left. And you can stick to each side a couple seconds before moving into the other side. Try to keep your elbows pretty straight. You don't want to have them bent here. You want to keep them straight. We're going to go about 10 on each side. This one's really good as well. Good. The last one we're going to work on, same thing, with a band, but we're going to go flexion all the way into rotation and then extension. So if you have a bar, great. Again, if not, use a band. So I'm going to start off here in front of me, holding the belt, go overhead, and go right behind back. Okay? It'll be a little harder with the bar because this one I'm being able to extend a little bit. Right? I'm being able to extend this belt a little bit. It's flexible, so when I go behind my back, I'm getting a little more give out of the belt and going behind my back. Okay? If you have a bar, it might be a little harder, but you might have better flexibility than me in the shoulder. Front, overhead, behind back. I'm going to do that about 12 times. A couple more times here. These are really good, guys. Works on the flexion, extension, rotation, all aspects of the shoulder. So now let's get back to the assessment, right? Reassess. Let's see where we stand now. So we start with the shoulder flexion. So standing upright, hands all the way up. Where are we at now? Do you feel that limitation you felt before? Can you go further? Are you not favoring one side over the other side now? If all those are true, great. If one of them is true, great. Improvement, right? 1% at a time. So next one, the rotation. Look how much further I'm going. I wish I showed you the side view of that one. Internal rotation. External rotation. My internal rotation improved greatly. See here? Same here. Almost 90 degrees. Back. Same thing, right? Now let's try to scratch test. Here. I can grab it a little better, right? Now I have 3 fingers touching instead of 2. Last time I was just here. Now I can actually grab all 3 and pull. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you saw some improvement in those motions. We post these videos on YouTube, so you can go back on Chaffey College Sports Medicine and view these videos at any time you like. Again, if you have any questions, contact me or Nate, and we'll help you out with anything that you might be dealing with, whether it's an injury, whether it's lack of mobility, flexibility. That's what we're here for. So let your coaches know, they'll let us know, or contact us directly, and we're more than happy to help. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week.